Here's a sample MCAT CARS question with expert feedback. Elsewhere, the author says that literature is no substitute for sociology or politics, nor is it substitute philosophy. This statement agrees most closely with the passage assertion that A. Literary works are sometimes studied in relation to economic, social, and political conditions. B. Literary study has its own unique justifications and aims. C. Unlike sociology, politics, or philosophy, literature is an artistic pursuit. D. The methodologies of science and literary study often overlap.
Elsewhere, the author says that literature is no substitute for sociology or politics, nor is it a substitute for philosophy. I think that's a typo. This statement agrees most closely with the passage assertion that, and before I ask you about why you chose this answer, what type of question is this?
Reasoning beyond the text.
Excellent. Great job. And can you elaborate on why? Just for an exercise here?
Well, the question's introducing like new information, like elsewhere the author says this, and then it's like, how would he like agree or disagree with it? So yeah, it's like trying to get inside his head and figure out what he's thinking. That's
right, exactly. And it's also one way of thinking about it is that for an argument, there's the supporting statements and there's the conclusion being supported by them. Like there's what we call premises and conclusions. And in this case, it's going, would the premises in this text support this conclusion outside of the text? And some other ones would say, would this other statement support what's in the text?
Yeah.
So it's just a good thing to know. Okay, excellent. So you chose C here, and C is unlike sociology, politics, or philosophy, literature is an artistic pursuit. So what led you to select this question? Were there any others that were competing here? And which ones did you eliminate?
So I eliminated A and D. They didn't really seem to relate to much. And then for B, like, yes, it makes sense. But I think that I thought that yes, literary study has its own unique justifications and aims, but so do sociology and philosophy. Like in a way, they're similar, but sociology and philosophy, politics to me seemed more like, yes, they're humanities, but they're like, I don't know, they don't seem very artistic. It seemed more like a way of knowing things, whereas literature here is more described as an art.
So this is the interesting part, and that's good. So literature is described as an art, but the point of the text is literary studies is not, right? And you could imagine, for example, people doing the sociology of art. They could do sociological analysis of art or the political analysis of artistic movements, which have had political consequences in history, right? That's a real field of study. And so in that same way, the political scientist could be doing a rational analysis of something that wasn't rational, right? So this is kind of the same type of parallel. So the thing to have kept in mind here is that because the text is focused so much on literary studies, this question C is kind of baiting you into conflating literature with literary studies, right?
Well, yeah, because it said literature, and in the first paragraph, it was saying that literature is an art, but literary studies, the science. So like, that's kind of where I got it.
Right. And I think here is the idea is that the way that it's not a substitute for any of these implies that they have their own valid methods, right? That's the back, because you were like, but these fields have valid methods. You are absolutely right. And the idea that literary study has its own unique justifications and aims also implies that that's why literature can't be a replacement for these other things. So that is a confusing way of phrasing it in this text, the way they've done it, right? But, here the main point is that it has its own unique justifications and aims, and so do these other fields is implicit, right? Whereas another way of thinking this as well, right, is if this is true, that literature is no substitute for sociology or politics, and if it were true that it's not a substitute for philosophy, then does that support the idea that like sociology, politics, or philosophy, it's an artistic pursuit? It being no substitute doesn't say anything about it being artistic on its own. Make sense? Any questions or clarifications here? Anything kind of not sitting well?
No, it makes sense. I was debating between the two. It just maybe if I had thought about it a little bit more.
Yeah. So, okay.
Stick around for more sample MCAT CARS questions with expert feedback to help you score in the 90th percentile or higher.